Hello, this is Crypto CJ. It's the trade of the day, the Friday afternoon Zoom edition. And Bitcoin seems to be stuck in a new range, a little tighter than the last one we discussed. It's around between 42 and 48. Let's go to the chart and check it out. Okay, should be see my Bitcoin 5-minute about to become the day chart.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were in a range earlier around here between about 38 and 46. We punched through 46 last week, so I scrapped it thinking it was invalid, thinking we were start working our way up towards 50K. Not going to happen. Bounced off 48.3 or so and coming back down. So I started at the bottom of the range here around mid-March. So I'd say we're between about 40,150, excuse me, and 48.3. So that seems to be the new and not so improved range for Bitcoin. We were hopeful it was going to move up more, but you know, from what I'm seeing, and talking to other people, I just don't think we have the retail volume yet. People aren't that excited about Bitcoin in its 40s. If we can push it up through, you know, traders like us and the institutions, get over 50, I think that'll bring some more retail in, push it up even more. But for now, we seem to be stuck in a range again. So 2 or 3 weeks at this point. I expect over the weekend to test this the SMA line here on the day chart around 41.8. Good breakthrough, and then you know, get down to the very low 40s. So Ethereum's doing a little bit better. Actually didn't. On Ethereum, we were following the SMA line here on the 4-hour chart, and then we broke through a couple days ago on the 5th. On the day chart, yeah, it's mostly staying above the Vidya. This blue and red changing line here that I'm using as a EMA. I've got this yellow line here is my 50-day EMA, so I've got that too because I know a lot of traders use it. I prefer the Vidya. And it's not a bad idea to put an alert on the Vidya. And again, for new folks and review, it's the variable index dynamic average. So it's like an EMA, but it takes volume and momentum and things like that into consideration. So the D is dynamic. It's a little more responsive than this one. So you put alert on this too. Right click on Vidya, color alarm. So when it changes, you know, if you want to do longer term trading, like on the day chart or the hour or something like that, you know, this alert can be useful, or you can just use it for confirmation on what you want to do. So anyway, we had a nice trend up on Ethereum, fell out this week. See if we can trend up again. It'll probably follow Bitcoin. And this is the 50-day moving average, this yellow line. It's been above that for, you know, going on 2 weeks now. So again, seems to be a bit more resilient than Bitcoin, but probably dropping over the weekend as well. Any questions on Bitcoin and Ethereum and the market overall? All right, let's move over to Altcoin Alert, and we will see if we can find some trades. So I'm on the altcoin radar view. Easy mode is off. I get all the information that way. The first thing I usually look at is an AA score. Can I find a good one? I'll click on this, and I don't really care about the rest of the information. I just want to look at the AA score. Again, as review, the AA score is telling you, or telling us right now, that Audius has an 81% chance of going up 3% or more in the next 48 to 72 hours. So with that information, that's enough for me to easily at least look at it. I don't just jump in just because I see an AA score I like. I've actually traded audio a lot in the last couple of weeks, not necessarily to my success, but that's a story for another time. So let's look at this one. We'll go to the day chart first, get the big picture. Big pump around $3. Here's a crazy wick here, up over $4 back in November. Pretty big drop at a pretty big pump lately, which was a problem for me because I was stuck in a short on this. So on the hour chart, yeah, we had this pump here on this. That's actually the second one. Look at the 4-hour chart. I want to show you how it double topped. Well, it's not a real good view of it. It's better on the day chart. So yeah, here's one top and then here's a second even higher top. So the question is, after this dip, can it go back? If so, we're at a pretty good entry point now. You know, on the 1-hour chart, it's dropped. You know, it's dropped 35% in the last 3 days. And I'm going to show you something on the 15-minute chart, because while I was looking at this, here's a really good example of divergence. I haven't seen one this obvious in a while, so I thought I'd bring it to your attention. As you know, I like the 15-minute chart to put alerts on various indicators. Well, I was looking at this maybe half an hour ago, and I saw the MFI completely disagreeing with the RSI. You don't see this really often. The MFI is shooting up, but the RSI is trending down. The RSI is following the candle action. See how it's trending down here? I put a white line here to indicate that. But the MFI indicator is shooting up. So this is bullish divergence. So whatever direction the indicator is going, that's the label of the divergence. So this is a really good example of bullish divergence on the MFI. I'm not sure why I didn't print here. It should be showing this. And then here's the candle action going down. So as you can see, I'd say about 60 to 70% of the time, this has a predictive value. So on this OBV indicator, when that divergence occurred, you know, we got this move here right after, you know, 4.6%. That's a really good day trade. Here it's not as good. We're up, you know, 0.71, then it drops. Then, you know, 1.7% in 4 hours. That's a pretty good day trade. This one's really good. This one triggers here. And that's the volume weighted MACD. And it shoots up, you know, almost 6%. Here's another good one. You get the idea. So on the 15-minute and higher, you know, these divergences can have some predictive value. I've tried to do this on the 5-minute, didn't work. I'd say it's right around 50%. 50% doesn't really help us. So, I like this example as a, you know, for a divergence example. I hope that's useful. All right, back to the audio evaluation. On the 5-minute chart, but we have a squeeze here and a bubble forming. Those of you who've gone through the 1, 2, 3 dip training know this could be setting up for a really nice 1, 2, 3 dip sequence. Got a single dip here. This one just nudges again, this drops again. So we're into at least a second dip. I'd probably wait for a 4th dip on this, the way Bitcoin's going. Make sure you check Bitcoin before you do take this trade. But the setup looks pretty good. It's not quite ready yet. Now, if you got to move on, can't stick around, do you want to put an alert in? I'm not seeing, we've already broken through short-term support that was here around $1.17. And there's some more support here around $1.19. So I don't see a really good price alert on this time frame. So as we've talked about many times before, I like to go to the 15-minute chart. Put your alert on the divergence alert. You might recall if you click up here to your indicators, type in divergence. This is the one I like here, divergence for many indicators. So it's not just the MFI or the RSI or the MACD. There's about 9 or 10 of them in there, and I've included most of them on my indicator. So you click that, it'll populate, and it'll show these divergence situations. And you can right click on, and whether you want negative divergence or positive divergence, use your once per bar close option. If you click only once, sometimes it'll repaint, it'll flicker, and then the price action will change and it'll go away. So that won't happen if you use the once per bar close. The downside is you won't be alerted immediately when divergence happens. You have to wait till that 15-minute period closes, but I think it's more reliable. And divergence alert, and you're good to go. If you're not comfortable with divergence yet, don't really understand it, most of you guys are familiar with the RSI. You can, it's already dipped below the 30 level, so it's considered oversold. So the alert I like to do is crossing up on the 30. So 30 is the oversold value. So what we're looking for is a coin that dips below the 30 and then it's coming back up. And I used to put alerts just on crossing the 30. So sometimes it'll cross the 30 and just keep going. We don't want that. We want something that's dipped and recovered. Those are the best trades to get in. So I think you make the most use out of your altcoin alert if you identify a coin, you look for a sequence like this, and when it's coming back, that's when you get in.
Why is that divergence? Why is it a factor to look at?
That's a reasonable question.
How is that an indication, or at least a lead indicator telling you that some event's going to come up that's going to be profitable?
Well, I think it's because the candle action outruns, the momentum, or depending on what the indicator's measuring. So the price action is usually outrunning something. They call it trend exhaustion and some things like that. There's probably a better answer than what I'm thinking of right now, but.
So I see the MFI where it's starting to go down.
Right.
So now it's a sharp downturn with the candle action going down. But it's just showing that. But when the MFI was going up and the candles were going down, that's the divergence you're speaking of.
Right. And in this particular case, it would not have been productive to trade. You have to look at, when you see divergence, before you act on it, you have to get a confirmation. And so on this, even though we have bullish divergence, we have no confirmation because the candles are still going down. So like on this one here, in this particular, and maybe that's why this didn't print, or one of these, because these don't show up until there's confirmation. So you can see OBV is the on balance value. That's not one I use. I dabbled with it once, but anyway, so this doesn't print until this green candle, does, and then it'll show you what, the time frame it's looking at.
I think so.
He's contemplating the question.
He's going frozen.
Oh, I'm frozen.
CJ.
Oh,
You were
frozen.
frozen. Yeah, you were meditating the question for a while.
Geez, I was yakking the whole time.
I'm sure it was your best pearls of wisdom.
No,
Brianna,
we were talking about you though.
Okay, so let me know what you heard last.
Oh, well, quick question, CJ. Then, to back to the topic we were on, what does divergence entail exactly? So does that mean it's diverting from the pattern it's on?
Yeah, it's a disagreement between the candle action and the indicator. So in this example, the candle action is trending down, but the indicator is going up in this time frame. Now, as Mark pointed out, the indicator's going down now.
Sharp down, yes.
Yeah. So, but technically, it still exists because, you know, it's still
So
trending up here
I guess
and trending down here.
his question would be more like it's overall not diverting so far from the most recent pattern it's been on. So it's going on an upward trend overall. So I would say it's a decent trade.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing you. I know you're in a library. So, yeah, it's not tradable until we have a confirmation. So if this, if we get a green candle next, then that's something you can consider trading. So, and some people, and I like on my divergence, I will, do a second alert sometimes to get better candle action going my direction, and then I get in. So
it seems in this case, even though there is a divergence, that the MFI is still relatively low compared to other, the obvious other highs. And I think that's why it really wasn't really that well established as a direction yet, maybe.
No, I agree. And I didn't, and the reason it caught my eye is because the difference was so clear, at least in the time frame I was looking at half an hour ago.
Right.
So that's why I pointed it out. But this isn't a good trade setup. It's just a good visual example. So at least I thought so.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So those lines are actually converging, but it's still called divergence, because divergence means going apart rather than coming together.
Yeah.
They don't distinguish between convergence and divergence, do they? It's just all divergence.
Yeah, it's just divergence when there's a disagreement. So, I mean, like here on the RSI, you can see it's trending down, in the same direction.
So that's basically creating an imbalance.
Yeah.
Therefore, from what we know, things have to be in balance. So what it's saying basically is things have got to come back to balance. So there's an opportunity to take a trade.
Right. And the vast majority of the time, if you go through these candles and see how many times we have divergence, you probably see it's a maybe 10 to 15%. And that's all the indicators. I've got 7 or 8 of them in here. So it doesn't happen incredibly often. So like you said, the markets tend to return to balance. And if you see that disagreement, sometimes that's more often than not, it's a trade opportunity.
So how is that? I mean, with that divergence, how is that? How does that connect in your mind that it's a point to invest? I mean, it's a stress point.
To be candid, I haven't examined it that much, other than people way smarter than me use it all the time. 2 of the top traders in CryptNation, Terry and Alan, love it and use it all the time. So
I agree with you that they do it. However, I'm trying to understand it.
Yeah. And other than the balance thing Craig said, which is actually more, more useful than what I was trying to explain. I think that's why. So
I'll Google it.
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't more
serious.
helpful on that.
I had to Google it when he first started talking about it a few months ago.
Okay. And to me, it was just sufficient to say it's a disagreement between the candle and the indicator, and that most of the time I looked at it, more often than not, it had predictive value. And that's where I stopped. So Mark wants to go deeper, so that's reasonable, but I'm not sure if I can help you.
Report back to the group, Mark.
Yeah, Mark has homework now.
Will do.
All right, and any other questions on audio or
water pump off. I gotta
or
change
divergence?
those out.
Was that a question or some random noise? Okay, I don't hear a follow-up, so I'm going to move on from this. See what else we can find in Altcoin Alert. I don't see any other, let's refresh real quick. I don't see any other coins above 80 So I'm going to move over to my long-term sentiment sort. And you can hover over here to see what that is. But as you can see from the description, it's a comparison of the Twitter data from the last 24 hours compared to the last 20 days. I think of it as a word on the street. What are people talking about and tweeting about? And you know, what's the buzz on social media? And then next to that, we have the Elder Impulse, which is a technical indicator, kind of like the MACD. And so when these two are in alignment like this one here, like the near protocol, very bullish on long-term, bullish on the Elder Daily, not a big spike. It's only up like 6%. This is the ideal setups, one of the ideal setups to check out. So let's see if we can find a trade on near. There was a bigger move. I don't remember if it was earlier in the day or yesterday. So on the day, yeah, pretty big pump lately. I think there was some news about this, some kind of deal with the stable coin or something like that. But yeah, since February, it's up 160% on the hour, dipping a bit on the hour, made it over 20, almost to $20. And we're down, you know, 10, 11% today, earlier today in the wee hours. Well, right about midnight, it got up to the high here. The 5-minute, this is following Bitcoin. Let's go to the 5-minute on Bitcoin. Okay, looks like Bitcoin's in a kind of sloppy dip sequence here. A squeeze, not much of a bubble. One, couple dips, trending up a little bit now. Near is following that sort of. So got one dip, two dips, one. Actually does have a third dip. I probably might wait for a fourth on this before getting in because we don't have much of a bubble here. The bubbles are indicative of volume and momentum, and the volume here is not much. I mean, it's Friday afternoon. It's in the middle of the night or very early morning in Asia. It's a weekend, so the volume tends to drop. Some can be some of the best times to get some entries on day trades and swing trades, and also to short some stuff if you're into derivatives trading. All right, so might want to set an alert, say around 17, just below the Bollinger Band here, maybe 1737. Call this one dip trade. Dip question mark. I like how TradingView remembers all my prior labels, so I don't have to always think of labels. If I think of the first letter, it'll give me a list. So, all right, so that's your price alert. If you want to go over to, you know, our indicators, we have divergence forming, bullish divergence forming. Candle hasn't closed yet, so you know, might want to take that into consideration. The last bullish divergence didn't do much, went up about 2%. Not a bad day trade in a half an hour, 45 minutes. In light of the weekend and potential lower volume, I would probably go with one of these alerts. The RSI is not quite hit 30, the oversold area yet. Actually did here earlier today. Again, it's the same value we just showed with the divergence. So do you want to do your alert on the RSI? You want to be crossing up 30. So you want to dip below the 30 and then work it, have it start to come back up. Remember the once per bar close. RSI. So And that seems to be a little more sensitive than the MFI has been in this time frame. So any questions on near?
So you want to see it dip one more time?
On the 5-minute chart, yeah.
Okay.
Because we don't have I want to see a bubble like this is really what I'm looking for. So this is a pretty good example here. We got kind of a squeeze and then it bubbles out 1, 2, 3, get kind of a doji here and then a green candle. So this is where I get in on this dip sequence that happened this morning. Probably look for, you don't have really good defined area for for resistance. Maybe go here 4.2, still be in that trade if I was that ambitious. To the SMA line would have been 4.5, just would have missed that. If I can catch a good entry like this, I usually go a little bit below. If the SMA line, maybe like right about here, and then takes me out 3.5%. That's a good day trade. So I'd like to think that's what I would have done. Actually, I tend to do the stuff in the middle, so I probably would have gone for the 1873 and still be in it, have the ladder buy. Okay, chat. Okay, so Craig's got to go. Craig, do you want to go over that thing we were talking about earlier? You still here?
Yeah. If you want to do it now, I'll probably be back after I've spoken to Kevin. But yeah, I got a Wise card and I wanted to exit some money out of Bybit and move it to back into a US bank account.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I could do it directly from Bybit, as you can actually take money directly into Bybit.
Wow.
And yeah, I've discovered you can't. And then so the question comes as to what's the best way to get it out. Not so much the how to move it, although you might want to cover that, but it's which is a good exchange to interact with American bank accounts.
Yeah, I think a lot of us in the US are on Coinbase Pro, because that's usually the onboarding way that we use to get to put cash and change it into crypto. So that's what I've always used. The fees seem to be the lowest. I mean, I've looked at crypto.com and some of the others, but their fees are higher for converting to cash, from cash to Bitcoin, but you want to do the opposite. So what I usually do, and this is the same for moving funds between exchanges, is let's say you're on Bybit or KuCoin or whatever you're using USDT as your stable coin. So you take your USDT and you buy a coin that's cheap and common. So examples are Litecoin, Stellar. Those are the two I've seen that are the cheapest. And then Bitcoin actually isn't as bad as it used to be. I moved a few $1,000s worth of Bitcoin recently for about $1. So, and Litecoin costs about 30 cents, give or take. Stellar's cheaper at, it's less than 10 cents, but there's some, you got to put a couple other things in the situation. I didn't care for that.
It's Stellar XLM, is it?
Yes. Yes. So you buy one of those, let's use XLM as an example. You buy XLM on Bybit, then you send the XLM over to Coinbase Pro, sell that XLM into USD on Coinbase Pro. And then at that point, you can transfer from Coinbase Pro over to Coinbase. And you have that connection when most people open their bank account / crypto account to buy crypto with cash, then you can reverse the process and just take the USDT into your bank. There's just a button to click. I could show it all, but I have to have a bunch of windows up and might be kind of time consuming, but generally to move funds to cash between exchanges, buy a cheap coin and move that coin. So
yeah. So you mentioned that you go to Coinbase Pro to convert it back to USDT. Then you go to Coinbase to move it back into your account, or did you mean Coinbase Pro?
No, that's not quite right. You send the Litecoin from Bybit over to Coinbase Pro because you want the lower fees on buying and selling in Coinbase Pro. So you sell your Litecoin into USD.
Yeah.
And USD you can convert into cash on Coinbase.
On Coinbase or Coinbase Pro?
You send it from Coinbase Pro to Coinbase. You send your USD.
So,
yeah.
So you do have to. So then you have to go to Coinbase and then to your bank account.
Yeah, but it's immediate. So the Coinbase Pro exchange between Coinbase, there's no charge for it. So once you have the USD in your Coinbase Pro, you can send it immediately to Coinbase, and then that's what's connected to your bank account.
Yeah, I'm not positive, but I think you might be able to do it now directly from Coinbase Pro to the bank account. If I not 100%.
Yeah, I kind of thought so too.
But I think they added that feature, I believe. Once upon a time, you had to be in Coinbase, but I think they graduated to allowing you to link Coinbase Pro to your bank account as well.
That might be true. I've been this way for so long, I didn't even occur to me to look at something else. But okay, that'd be cool. That's one less step.
Okay, that's great. That sort of solves the problem.
Okay.
It's a little bit more convoluted than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's a few steps.
Yeah.
And then, if you're a new Coinbase user, it could be 7 to 10 days before you get your cash. If you do it a few times, that time drops considerably. So for me, it's 1 to 3 days, before I have it
so there's
in my
quite
account.
a delay there and
Yeah.
getting the money back.
It's
you
an
won't get it
annoying
immediately.
process.
Yeah, when you're a new crypto user and you open your Coinbase account with cash and try to buy crypto, then it's like 14 days, 14 business days, I think, man. So that's no fun. But once you do it a few times, then that time starts to drop when Coinbase starts to trust you, or I don't know, maybe the more transactions they have a record of, the more likely they think you are a stand-up kind of person and not a money launderer or something. But
yeah, I think it's the other way around. Money launderers should be doing transactions all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to do this, then it would pay to get your Coinbase Pro and your bank account linked up before you really wanted to do it.
It's
so
essential.
Get all that established, well in advance of time.
Definitely.
Right.
So, and maybe even do a minor transaction just to get it all established.
Yeah, that's a good idea to test it. So
You're going to town now.
Yeah, test the whole thing. So
okay.
All right. Mary Anna is asking, what is the advantage to have the Coinbase Pro account instead of just Coinbase? I'm guessing Mary Anna's fairly new. Oh, this is a direct message to me. Oops. Sorry, Mary Anna, I just kind of outed you as a newbie, but that's all right. But real quick, Coinbase Pro is better for trading. Coinbase is easy to use, so it's good for brand new people, but the fees are considerably higher. You're doing a market buy and a market sell on Coinbase. Coinbase Pro, you can choose limit orders, and that option cuts down on your fees. But if you have any more questions on that, we can talk about it on a in a different format. So, all right. Well, I thought that was useful information for some people, so I asked Craig to go ahead and bring it up. He actually telegrammed me this a couple hours ago. So, thanks for doing that, Craig. Let's get back to trading. We'll look at one more altcoin alert trade. So let's see. Share my screen again.
Could we perhaps see what Luna is doing on altcoin alert? I'm curious.
Sure.
It's had a lot of movement the last day. up and down.
All right, showing a bullish AA score. Not much happening with the sentiment. Bullish on the elder impulse, not bad. It's down about 7.5% today. So AA is not telling us much. It's slightly better than junk, than average. But do you want to look at the chart?
Please.
Okay.
You want us all night?
Mhm.
Never. Yeah.
Okay, day chart. Had a really nice move. I was trading this last week, a couple times earlier in March. Up over 140%. Pretty big drop since then, though. And we're not sure. Oh yeah, it's already dipped below $100. So
Well, it's dipped below 97 right now.
yeah.
Which is like seems like a deep discount, but it's going down still.
Right. I was looking at this earlier this morning. I was thinking, I wonder if it'll drop below 100 today, and it did. So
Yeah, I bought into that dip.
so on the hour, yeah, dipping pretty hard on the 5-minute. A little bit of signs of recovery. Got our squeezed bubble. 1, 2, not a third dip. Do have a MACD cross. In a pumping market, in a hot market, I'll do this a lot. I'll see 2 dips and a MACD cross. And the MACD is kind of a slower indicator. So that's often sufficient for me to jump in, but this is not a hot market. So I'm going to wait for the third dip on this. But we do have, 5 candles in a row that are green on the 5-minute chart. One can argue that's indicative of a trend. So I don't know. What's your entry, Robert, if you don't mind sharing?
Give me one, do something else and I'll tell you in a second here.
Okay, I just want to see if we should ladder buy this. So let's just go
Yeah.
hypothetical.
Right, no, I'll let me look it up real quick here, sorry. All right, let's see.
So there was a dip sequence here.
97.35.
Yeah, so
Which I felt was a good entry on earlier today.
yeah, let's say, okay, so he's up almost 1% and then, drop down here.
Yeah, initially it was going up nicely.
Yeah, if you were going to ladder buy kind of in a tight range, I would do that around in the low 90s somewhere. We just printed a red candle. If it drops some more into a third dip, you're most likely going to be about 4 to 5% below your entry. So you might want to consider getting in again. If you want to hold back, concerned about the weekend and lower volume, that maybe this drops down to below 90, that might be a better place to get in for a ladder buy.
Okay, thank you.
Let's look at one more on Altcoin Alert, and then we'll wrap it up.
Hey CJ, can you hear me?
So I hear someone speaking up.
Hey, real quick, can you tell me where I can find the 20 and 50-day moving average of each coin I want to watch?
Okay, I think Brianna's asking about the 20 and 50-day moving average. It's a good question. So if you want to look up a moving average, you can type in moving average on your indicators.
Okay.
So here's one here. Click that, and then you got to change the settings. So it'll look like MA here. Click on this gear. And so you could probably type in and get a 50-day moving average in a, in a 100-day, or there's indicators that have 3 of them in there that you can put different times on, but like the length is what you want to change. Like if you want the 50.
CJ, you were frozen from when you went into the moving average to now.
Okay. All right. So I've clicked this gear to open up the settings on the moving average. I'm going to change the length to 50 and the time frame, because this is 50 period at the moment. So this is 50 5-minute candles. If you want the 50-day moving average, you've got to click on day here in the time frame. So there's your 50-day moving average. And then if you want to, make it a different, different color, different thickness, you got that option here under style. So. And then if you want to do a 50 and a 100, you just do the same thing and put a 100 instead of 50 and what I just showed you. So. Wonder if there's. EMA.
There are some moving average indicators where you can load multiple moving averages into the same indicator, which
is
if
what I'm
you're in a
looking for.
limited trading view plan, they're top ones, 3 smooth moving averages is one.
Yeah,
a double and a triple.
Yeah.
Particularly if you've got limited alerts on some of the plans, that's the way you can sort of get 3 alerts and only use 1, if you like, or not alerts, indicators.
Yeah, like on this one here, it says moving average 50 and 200, and those are probably the 2 most common anyway. So you can click that one and download it, and like Craig says, this would count as 1 indicator on your chart as opposed to having 2 of them if you load them separately. So that's another way to do it. All right. Let's do one more altcoin alert and then we will move on. So we looked at near, and Phantom just jumped. We don't have confirmation. So I will also look at bullish and bullish, not just very bullish. I get bullish on long-term sentiment, bullish on Elder Impulse Daily. I'll usually look at that. I'm looking for something I'm somewhat familiar with too. I've never heard of Mancoin. AGI sounds vaguely familiar. AVAX, this is good. Long-term sentiment bullish, daily bullish. We're down 4%. Could have room to come back. Let's check it out.
Yeah, I looked at that this morning when the AA alert came up, but it wasn't looking promising this morning.
Yeah, it's in a dip pattern now. This is classic. We got a squeeze here, bubble out. 1, 2, 3. I'm probably a little early on that one, so we won't count that one. It's still kind of in the squeeze. It's not a big move. So I'm going to count my first one here. 1, 2, 3. Actually a 4th dip. So I think once you get some candle action back coming up, this could be a good entry. If it were, say, Tuesday morning or something, I'd feel better about it. But going into Friday night on a dip trade, I'm going to go in small or maybe wait even a little longer. Let's see, what are my indicators showing me? Yeah, I might wait. Both of these are below or in the oversold area. So I might wait for my indicator to come back. Let's say on the RSI, we'll do that. Crossing up on the 30. I think that's the best course of action for this particular one. Wait till it's crossing up on the RSI, and that'll give you some idea that it's recovering from this dip. So.
And yeah, additionally, just as a heads up, and looking at Bitcoin is still kind of in a dip. So yeah, it's hard to say where that's going to go.
Indeed, I agree. All right. Okay. Okay. Craig's sharing something. Suggesting that this might be time to trade shorts, that Bitcoin's probably going to drop to even like 39.8 or something like that, based on some information he's got from someone he trusts. So as I talked about earlier, I do think we're going to dip this weekend. Everybody's got their own opinion on Bitcoin, but So, you know, on the dip trades we've discussed, if you do take those, be ready to buy another position. Or you might just want to wait even for 5th or 6th dips, or use those RSI alerts that I showed you. Wait for that, that 15-minute to come up and push its way above the 30 value, start trending back. So, all right, well, that's about all I have. And we're at a little longer than usual, 40 plus minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. For those of you who attended live, thank you so much for doing so. Those of you on the recording, it's good to have you aboard too. For those of you in Carbon, go ahead and hang around. We'll start the next Zoom in a few minutes. I'll end the recording here. Have a good weekend and happy trading.